Now today, I want to discuss a topic that will take me up to like 4 to 6 weeks before I could finish. Now, I will be discussing light control instrument. Light control instrument. Before I take all the light control instruments that we have, or the ones that I will be able to lay my hands upon, I will want to let you know what are light control instruments. What are light control instruments? Light control instruments are tools, they are instruments, they are machines, they are gadgets, they are accessories. Anything that makes the work easy are machines. So they are machines that are used to manipulate lights on a movie set. They are used to manipulate light on movie sets. Now, I want to tell you that if you are filming, you are lighting for a particular scene, or you are lighting for a particular movie, what makes your light to look the way it looks, and it's not just flat, is how well you are able to control that light. Now, and the use of lighting control accessories are what makes it easy for you to be able to get what we refer to as mood of a scene. So if lights are not controlled, it is not possible to have a mood when you are shooting a scene, when you are lighting for a scene. Now, as you can see me here, the lights I put on myself here, those lights are controlled. If they are not controlled, then we will not have light and shade in parts of the set that you are seeing. You could see that some part of me are well lit, some part of me are not well lit. Then you could see the background, how the background looks. You could see that there are some part of the background that are not well lit, some part of the backgrounds are well lit, like that. So the lighting control makes it easy for all those parts of the set to be lit in different ways. And these are lighting accessories, these light control instruments that we use in making this possible are what I will be discussing with you for the next 4 to 6 weeks. Now, let me start with one. The first one I will be discussing today is what I refer to as bandos. Bandos. Now, quite a number of people will have heard that very word. I know a lot of people will have heard bandos. Give me that bandos, open the bandos, close the bandos, and like that. Bando is a very common light control accessory. Now, it is used, in fact, basically from the open phase light to the closed phase light, bando is used. Now, what does a bando do? Now, like I am here now, I was able to use my bandos to control where my light goes to and where my light must not go to. And that was what made it easy for you to see me, and some of the part of the set lights are not touching some of the part of the set because of the use of bandos. Now, when a bando is not on light, like the Fresnel light that you are looking at my back, the bando is not on it. In fact, the bandos that should be on that Fresnel light, it's the one I'm holding here. Now, when the bando is not on that light, then light has a tendency of spreading abroad. When you don't have a bando on light has a tendency of spreading everywhere. So the light goes everywhere because it is not controlled. But with the application of bando, you can control, you can narrow whether you want your light to spread out, or you want your light to narrow to a particular place in your scene. Now, with the bando now, I can control the amount of light that goes into a particular, in fact, no matter how big the light you are using is, the moment you introduce a bando, I can decide to narrow down. Can you see? I can decide to narrow down the amount of light that comes out of the bando. Now, and that's what makes you control the light that falls on the subject. Now, so that is the work of the bando. The bando controls the spreading the spotting of the light that comes on a particular subject on your set. Now, you should ask me a question. Now, are all barn doors black? Are all barn doors black? Yes, all barn doors must be black. Now, if your barn doors are not black, if you know the outer layer of your barn doors are not black, definitely you will have some spill, some reflections from the barn doors that you are using if it is not black. Now, I've seen some light that introduce their barn doors that the internal part of those barn doors are silver face, they are shining faces, but the outer layer of those barn doors are dark in color. Now, compulsorily the outer layer must be dark in color, because if the outer layer is not dark, those outer layer has the tendency of receiving light coming from another source and spreading it and reflecting it into places where you don't want light to fall into. Any equipment that you are using, for example, any barn door that you are using that has a tendency of another color on it, then gives room for that color to reflect into another place where you don't want that color to get to. So that is why at most times barn doors are black. But for those barn doors that has some shining surface in the internal part of it, they are actually meant to be there for them to be reflective. In fact, if you are using some closed face or open face light, it is very good that your barn doors are completely black, so that you will be able to control how the light travels. You will be able to control how the light travels. And I also must say that when you are getting your light, it is good for you to get removable barn door lights. Removable barn door light. Lights that has their barn doors removable. Lights that you can remove their barn doors easily and fix them easily. That's the sort of a light that you should choose, so that you will be able to control the light as you want it. So barn doors is one example. Barn door is one type of light control instrument that are used to make it easy for you to control the spreading of the light that comes from the source of light you are using. Welcome back. The light control accessory we'll be talking about this week is called black foil. Black foil. This is an example of a black foil, though this has been used, but it's an example of a black foil. You know, last week we talked about flags, and what flag does is to shade away light from getting into the unwanted area, from the areas where you don't want light to get to. Black foil is a light control accessory that is used to control light spillage. It is used to control light spillage. Yeah, what do we mean by light spillage? You know, sometimes when we work with some heavy light like this Fresnel light, sometimes we work with those heavy lights, and you discover that the barn doors of such a light, they are not, they don't have closures on some areas like this one. For example, if you are using a light like this, it is possible for the light to spill. It is possible for the light to spill from this place. You know, when the illumination is flowing directly from the face, it is also possible for the light to spill from here. In this type of light, the openings are created for air to enter and cool down the light when the light is hot. But while the opening is created for a certain advantage, the disadvantage of that opening is that light can also spill from that opening. Light can spill to areas where you don't want light to go from that opening. Now, that is the reason why black foil is introduced. Black foil is introduced to shade away, to cover the spillage, to control the spillage of light when it comes to lighting for a set. Now, in this very situation, you can bring up a black foil to cover the areas where light is spilling from. You remember when I started this very class, I covered this thing with a black textile. Now, this is exactly what the function of a black foil, what a black foil does. This cloth will have been used to do the job, But because this is a very high temperature light, very high temperature light, this light can, the body of this light can go hot at any moment. Then for you to avoid hazard, you cannot use what is called a textile to do that job. The best thing to use to do that job is what we refer to as black foil. Black foil is like a metal material, is a light metal material. It cannot be consumed with fire, neither can it be consumed with heat. It is not a plastic that can melt. It is not a material that can melt in the presence of heat. Though when it is hot, you might find it very difficult to pick it up, except you are using a gaffer glove. This black foil is used to cover a place from the bundle where light is spilling. So when you have black foil, you have a tendency of narrowing down your illumination. When you have black foil, you have a tendency of narrowing down your illumination to the particular place where you want your light to get to without any spillage. For example, you are lighting in a room and the light is spilling. The light is spilling from the bundle. For example, if you look at this, it is possible for light to spill from this area of the bundle. Light can spill from this area of the bundle. Now, but when you try to close it, there are still some holes where light can still spill. So from that, for you to avoid spilling from such area, you can use a black foil. You can use a black foil to cover those areas where light can spill from. So the black foil is bendable. You can bend it. You can bend it. You can do it anyhow, because it will make it easy for you to be able to control the spillage of the light that is coming from the openings that are around your light. So this black foil can use for any type of light. You can use it for the Fresnel light. You can use it for LEDs. You can use it for any type of light. And in areas where you don't want spillage to fall into your set. That is the function of the black foil. Diffusers. Today we'll be talking about diffusers and gels.
Hey, Boo. Happy Valentine, my love.
I want you to be careful today, okay?
We were together last 2 weeks and I denied us from having it. But just because I wanted us to have it to the fullest on Valentine's Day. Babe.
Today's Valentine now. And see, the best gift that you can give me for your love is this Heavenly Palace.
What's Heavenly Palace?
Ekundayo, where are you?
No, that drug is harmful. Jude, it's harmful and you know it.
Yeah. What are diffusers? What are tracers? What are gels? In fact, the word tracer was taken from the work that lighting accessory does. That word was come out of the work that lighting accessory does, because it traces. It traces. So that's why they call it tracer. But on a professional level, you call it diffusers. You call it diffusers. So we want to talk about diffusers and gels. You must have heard about diffusers and gels. You must have seen them being used on set. Or you ask yourself and say, why are they putting one kind of translucent paper on the face of light? Sometimes they put bluish translucent paper. Sometimes they put light blue translucent paper. Sometimes they put yellow, red, different colors on. And sometimes it's just translucent and colorless. It's just translucent and colorless material they put in front of your light. So why are they doing all those things? The reason is what I have started talking about, light control. In fact, all those things are used to control the light that comes on the subject that you are illuminating. So, light accessories that we're discussing today is diffusers and gels. Now let me start with diffusers. This is an example of a diffuser. It's an example. It's small. This is very small, but it's meant for a particular light. It is constructed for a particular light. It's like an LED, very small LED diffuser. Now you see that the face is translucent. You know what we call translucent face is transparent. When it is transparent, you can see through. You can see me even while you are looking at it. But this time around, it's a translucent material. Now, a diffuser is a translucent material. The work it does is in two ways. Number one thing that a translucent will do for your light is to reduce the intensity of the light that falls on the subject that you are illuminating. It will reduce the intensity of the light that falls on the subject that you are illuminating. Now, in fact, on a real sense, that is a disadvantage of a diffuser. But notwithstanding, when you are working with any light, you should be able to determine the amount of illumination you want on a particular subject. While you now use your diffuser should not reduce the amount of light that you want on your subject as much as the one you needed on the body of your subject. Now, the diffuser will first reduce the amount of light that falls on the subject. Now, secondly, the diffuser spread out the illumination. The diffuser will no longer allow any spotlight to spot again. It will spread out the spotness of that light. It will make the light to spread. Instead of that light to spot and go directly into the particular subject you are illuminating, that light will spread out. That's what happens to all your electric bulb at home. When you look at your electric bulb at home, you will realize that most especially those high wattage bulbs that they produce, you realize that the body of that bulb is made with translucent material. That translucent material allows that light to spread into the room. So that's what makes it possible for you to put only one bulb in your room and yet the whole room is illuminated. That is what makes it possible, because you are using a diffuser to spread out the light. Instead of light directing to a particular place, then the light spreads out by the use of diffusers. And no, I hope you understand what the diffuser does now. Now, I will also talk about gels. Let me talk about something like this. This is a blue diffuser, a daylight diffuser, a daylight tracer, a daylight gel, whichever one you call it. Now, in this case, it does the work that a diffuser does, but in its own case, it does more. What makes it, what it does more is that it changes the temperature of the light that you have. For example, the light that falls on me when I use the diffuser now, look at the light that falls on me now. Look at the light that falls on me. Now, when I use the diffuser, can you see the color of the light that falls on me already change to something light blue? Because the diffuser is doing that job. Let me use the key light. Let me work on the key light. Now, if you look at the key light now, you realize that the light that falls on me changes from a tungsten. Now, this is a tungsten light, but the moment I use this diffuser now, I use this daylight gel, it changes from a tungsten to a blue field white light. That's what you see now. You remember that I have discussed here with us about light house colors. And this is what exactly you will see when you are changing the color of light. Now, so this is the work that this one does. Not only you will realize that with the explanation I've made, you will realize that not only that it changes the color of the light, it also reduces the intensity of the light that comes to me. It reduces the intensity of the light that comes to me. Now, not only reduce the intensity of the light that comes to me, the light spreads out. The light spreads, and the moment the light spreads out, then the intensity of the light that reaches a particular place has been spread. Instead of the light to go directly into one place, the light has been spread to flood into many places. And that is what caused the reduction in the amount of that light. So the same thing that happens to this is the same thing that happens to this. So when I use this, something changes. When I use this, something changes. You understand? When I use it, something changes. So whichever one you do, whichever gels you use, something will change. It controls. All this controls the illumination. Not only controlling the illumination, controls the color, controls the mood of your scene. Now I can decide to use something different also, like this. Now I can decide to use something different like this. I can have this. I can have this. Now these are the things. This is what those tracer does. Those tracer does. Now I can also decide to use this, to do this, change this color, change this color. So the feel you see are totally different. Now, in fact, if I'm using this, somebody will think I'm shooting a horror movie. So it tells the mood. The control you give your light tells the mood of your scene. The control you give your light tells the mood of your scene. So today we have discussed so well about diffusers, diffusers and gels. Now, the use of all these things is to control your lighting. To control your lighting controls the mood of your light, controls the illuminations that reaches a particular subject, controls the color of the light that reaches a particular subject, and spread out the floodness, how the light is going to flood the entire place. So this is what tracers and gels flag. Yes, flag is flag. I'm not talking about the national flag of any country, but I'm talking about the flag that is being used by light men in controlling their light. Flag. What are flags? Flags are any black materials. Flags are any opaque materials. Flags are materials that can absorb heat and as well shade away light from where you don't want light to reach. For example, when you're working with some lights that are floodlights, like example of the lights I'm working on today, the lights that are illuminating me for you to see me today, they are actually floodlights. But for me to control them, I can make use of what is called flags, that if I don't want light to reach some part of me and I want light to reach some part of me and the light I'm using is floodlight, I can introduce what is called flag. Flag can be any materials. Let me take example of a material like this. A material like this. This is actually a cover of something, but any material that looks black like this can serve as flag. You can make it yourself, you can build it yourself, you can as well buy it from the manufacturers that have actually produced them. So what does it do? Flags shade away light from some areas where you don't want light to reach. For example, I can decide to shade away light from my face with this flag. Now, you could see that the flag now has shaded away some part of me. Light is not reaching some part of me. If you look very critically at my image now, you will realize that light is reaching my hair. Light is reaching my hair, but the light is not reaching my face. I've decided to shade away among all the lights that is lighting. The same light that lights my hair is the same light that lights my side here, but I decided to flag away the light that reaches my cheeks here, my side here, and remain the light that reaches my ears. So that is the work that flags can do. Flag can shade away some part of the talent, some part of the subject where you don't want light to reach. Despite the fact that you are putting on a floodlight, you can use flag to control the lights from where you don't want light to reach or where you want light to reach. I can decide to use flag to shade away light from my body, and yet the light is on my face. So for example, in a situation whereby you have a talent wearing white, when you are wearing white, and you had more light to white, you might eventually be having a problem of overexposure, that the entire white will be completely white in such a way that you will not be able to pick out the details of the white clothes that that talent is wearing. So in such a situation, you can make use of flag and flag away the light that comes into the body. You can flag away the light that comes into the cloth. For example, can you see now that I'm trying to flag away the light that comes into my clothes? Reduce the intensity of the light that comes into my clothes. So it is possible to make use of flag to reduce the amount of light and as well shade away the amount of light that falls on a particular part of the subject. That is what flags are. So many materials can be used to make flag. You can use a metal materials to make your flag, most especially when you are working with hard lights like the tungsten light that are always full of heat, that their temperature is always very high. So you can make use of metal material like this. You can make use of metal material like this to make your flag. A metal material like this kind of metal material will not melt when in the face of heat, when there are too much heat on light. For example, you have it like this. You see that I'm trying to flag away light from a side of me. So flagging away light from a side of me has actually shown something. It has actually make a kind of mood from my look. Now you will see me like an horror. A side of me is lit and a side of me is not lit. I can decide to reduce, I can decide to flag some part and then remain some part. Just like I've explained that flagging away some part of me and my hair is still well lit. So it is the same thing. You can make use of a metal flag to flag light away from where you don't want light to reach. Also, you can make use of a textile to make your flag. You can introduce a textile to make your flag. For example, if it is a textile I'm using, I can flag away light from some part of me. I can flag away light from some part of me with my text. You could see that in my cloth now, light is not reaching some part of me from this very end of my cloth. I can decide to flag away light from my face using a textile. So when you are using a textile, in this case, you can create a frame for such textile. In fact, this textile is having a slot for frame. I can create frame for it to make it rectangular. In such a way that even a C-stand, a century stand, or anything can hold it. Anything can hold it. You can even use a light hanger to hold it in such a way to flag away whatever you want to flag away. You see that my hand can even serve as a flag. You can see that just using my hand is flagging away some part of light from my face. So that is flag. Flag reduce, flags shade away. Flag creates a shade on some part of the subject where you don't want light to reach. You can decide to introduce light into a set. Introduce light into a set, and a part of the set, you don't want light to reach that part of the set at all. You can introduce the use of flag. You can introduce your flag into such set. Introducing flag into such set will take away light from some part of the set where you don't want light to reach. So flag is very, very useful. Flag is very, very important when it comes to controlling light in a set. In fact, I will employ the low budget filmmakers also to create their own flags and start using flag in shading away light from some part of the set. For example, now you are working on a set where the background is completely white. The background is completely white and you are working with only one source of light. You know you will need to light your subject and as well. And you don't have a C-stand to throw your light from up. So definitely, for example, like what I'm doing now, the lights I throw to myself, they are not on C-stands, and the lights are also reaching the background. Now, if I want to flag away the light from the background, all I just need to do is to introduce a flag that will cut the light away from the background. and the light will never touch the background as it's touching the background again, like that. Can you see that there's a reduction in the light that goes to the background? So if I have to introduce flag in a proper way, then I can shade the way light that goes to the background. I can shade the way light that goes to the background and let light remain on the areas where I want the light to be. That is what flag does. If you're a low budget filmmaker, you can create flag by yourself. You can as well buy from any camera shop around you. Flag is very useful in controlling light. I hope you understand